Comparing what each shirt is wearing. Should stand up and show off.
Hello. Thank you for coming. My name is Gerry Stellenberg with Multimorphic. Thank you for the one person who applauded. That's very kind of you. You're supposed to clap afterwards, after I do this amazing presentation and everyone loves it. We are here to talk about an inconceivable project, an inconceivable game, an inconceivable machine, The Princess Bride, which happens to be the 7th game we, Multimorphic, have created for the P3 pinball platform. And I've been coming here for years, 12 years. We started 12 years ago, and over the course of that time, we've created a number of amazing things that we'll talk about, and we're here to showcase this inconceivable machine. Different versions of it. We have the collector's edition here. We have a standard edition and a mostly standard edition inside the game room. Please come by the booth. Please come and see it. Talk to us about it. Ask your questions. Play it. Enjoy it. We are here to give you all really cool gaming experiences. And I know I'm supposed to talk about how awesome the machine is and then go into the boring stuff. But let's start with the boring stuff. No, these guys are amazing. We have a team of absolutely fantastic developers. This is a product, this game is a product of a large team of really talented people. And I want to highlight who they are. We have 4 of them on the panel that we'll talk to later. But this is a team of, I think it's 14 people. It's a lot of people to make one game. And hopefully a game that you all love. I mean, it takes creative director Steven, who's here behind me. Everyone's gonna get claps. That's awesome. Matt Andrews did the artwork. He also did the artwork for Weird Al, our previous licensed game. Game module number 5, I believe, from us. We got Colin McAlpine on the rules. He's obviously a top-level tournament player. He knows pinball rules, and he created a masterpiece for this game. 2 of the software guys are here as well. Josh Kugler, who most people know from American Pinball and previously from custom P-Rock-based homebrew machines, and Steve Scheuer, another member of our software team. 4 people. There are 4 people on the software team for this game. It's a lot of effort went into programming this machine, and it's still going on. We're not finished yet. We got Rory, who's done graphics on all of our games. He does our in-game graphics. We've got TJ Weaver and Trey Jones. Trey is here. TJ's back in the booth. They do all the mechanical design and the prototyping and making these things physically work. On music, it's Paul Fair and a gentleman who's not listed named Mark Knopfler. Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits, the band. He obviously created the music for the Princess Bride film, and we licensed a lot of his tracks and hired Paul Fair, who's a very popular, talented musician in the UK who's done music for a lot of the game shows, for I think The Weakest Link, The Chase. He did all the music for a lot of things that people really know. And it's pretty amazing work he put into this game. Matt Kern, sound effects. And we have supplemental voice callouts. In addition to all the callouts we pulled from the film, Lucas Pepke has done a lot of extra stuff that actually isn't in the game yet, but will be soon. All the pinball-y callouts that people expect to hear, that obviously when you're watching a film like this, you don't hear people say jackpot. Well, soon you'll hear someone who sounds like people in the film saying jackpot, which is pretty cool. So let's talk about the game. The game is a kit. Like all games for the P3 system, it's a game kit. And what that means is it's a module that can plug into the machine, and you can swap that with other modules that can plug into the machine. What you're looking at on the screen now is the Princess Bride game kit. And it's designed, you don't see any text on that playfield. You also don't see any flat metal surfaces on that playfield, because it's fully decorated with the intention to immerse you into the world of the Princess Bride. Text that says, shoot here for a mystery award or whatever. That takes you out of the theme. It takes you out of the content you're trying to represent. So it's fully illustrated. It's supposed to represent the land, the castle, the cliffs, all those things that I'm spoiling. The Cliffs of Insanity. One of the most iconic scenes in the film where Andre the Giant's, or excuse me, Fezzik is carrying the characters up the cliffs. Inconceivably. That was a joke. That's funny. I didn't set up the joke, and I even missed my starting joke. No one reminded me. Humperdinck's castle. There's a ball lock inside the castle. There are swords in front of the castle. The swords actually articulate. They move when you hit the captive ball. They're not software controlled. You hit the captive ball, which is lower in the playfield. You can't see it on this image, but the swords move back and forth during gameplay as if the action of gameplay is causing this sword fight to happen. Miracle Max's hut. As You Wish ball drop. The characters in the film, they're in this scene, and Dread Pirate Roberts jumps down the hill, or gets pushed down the hill. How's it work?
He rolls down.
He rolls down the hill.
He is pushed.
And that's where Buttercup discovers that he's actually Wesley, and it's thematically implemented in the playfield.
Spoiler.
Whoops. Whoops, it's really cool. The ball rolls down the hill just like the characters in the film do. And Dread Pirate Roberts' optical spinner is a Rouse, R-O-U-S. What's a R-O-U-S?
There you go.
Thank you. 3 people knew what an ROUS is. So what we were going for, obviously, is really deep, really immersive theme development, theme inclusion. And then the P3 system, the machine we're looking at that accepts this game kit, the physical game kit that we just talked about, it has an LCD on the lower portion of the playfield. It does not have a painted piece of wood with blinking insert lights that most other machines have. It's basically a touchscreen LCD. It's not really a touchscreen, but we implement touchscreen-like technology on top of it so the ball can interact with graphics and shapes and things. But the LCD allows us to do things on that playing surface to farther immerse you into the theme of the game, into gameplay. And you can see examples on this slide. We have the left and the right images. You can see video clips playing while you're playing the game. You have a physical pinball in play. You're flipping it with physical flippers. And it's rolling over a screen that's showing you things from the film. It's showing you pop-up scores, film clips. It immerses you into that gameplay because you can literally follow along the scene you're playing without looking up to a back box. You're staying focused on the ball, and you're also seeing the film play out in front of you. Below the video clips in those 2 images is a book. The theme, the film, is a recreation or an implementation of a book. The story is based on Grandpa reading a book to his grandson. So the book is the conduit through which we immerse you into this fantasy land, which is the Princess Bride story. The book is ever present on the screen, and it guides you through gameplay, just as a book would guide you through the story. So you can see on the left image it says Cliffs Conquered because that screenshot was taken from the person completing the Cliffs of Insanity. The next image is a mode selection scene. The book is guiding you through gameplay, so the book presents the modes you can select to progress into gameplay. The third image is from Battle of Steel, where Dread Pirate Roberts is fighting Inigo Montoya in the ever popular scene where they start fighting left-handed. Spoiler alert again. and they finish fighting right-handed. So while you're playing this game, and it tells you this right on the screen on that image, it says when you start playing this scene or this mode, you literally only use your left hand on the flipper buttons. This machine has multiple buttons on each side. You start playing this mode with your left hand, and if you get far enough, it stops the ball and it says, well, it plays the parts of the clip, the parts of the scene where they say, little did you know I'm not left-handed. And they switch sides. The machine forces you to switch sides. Now you're playing the rest of the mode with your right hand. Theme immersion is a huge part of this implementation. Some more things just to show you some variety. There is a scene called Guide My Sword, where Inigo's looking for the opening into the tree, it turns out. But you are literally shooting targets on the playfield to guide that virtual implementation of a sword, left or right, to find the right place to shoot. Your goal is to align the sword with the lit shot. When you've aligned it, it becomes active and you can shoot that shot and you progress through the mode. You are physically and virtually guiding the sword to progress. Middle picture is just a couple examples of how we use the video clips. There's the main video window. We're playing the scene of the movie. There are also pop-ups that come out for characters that are expressing call-outs or things that happen in the film. They happen in different video windows. So a couple different ways to present things. And then, of course, on the right, we have what's called Pit of Despair, which we've implemented as a ball save mode. So if you light some things or achieve some things while playing and then you drain the ball, if you have Pit of Despair lit or active, then instead of your ball being over and it's no longer your turn, the next person steps up, it gives you the opportunities to survive the Pit of Despair, where you're presented with a sequence of shots, and if you complete them without draining, you get your ball back. Price for this game kit is $37.50, which in today's pinball world is what?
Inconceivable.
Clearly inconceivable. $37.50 for a brand new pinball game with a very popular theme, with all the theme immersion, with all the physical assets on the playfield, with all the virtual assets in the game. There's literally nothing on the market that compares to that at that price. Whoops, I went too far. So we have a standard edition, which is just the game kit, just the physical things I was showing you pictures on, the back third of the playfield. And this is just a showpiece. It's here to tell you that the game is real and we have it and you can look at it and it's got cool artwork and here it is. There's a limited edition, which is the standard edition machine, but with the topper and with different side art. What you're looking at here is the limited edition side art. And then we have a third thing. All of this is inconceivable. It's all inconceivable. I didn't put the machines in here. So then there's a third machine, which is the collector's edition, which is clearly inconceivable. This is the collector's edition machine. It's got these sword mechs mounted to the outside of the cabinet. While you play this game, on this machine, your fingers are wrapped around this sword handle. It looks like I'm wielding a sword as I play this game, which is super fun. It's got bronze powder-coated armor, they call it, lock bars, glass rails, those kind of things. It's got a special back glass. If you look carefully at this back glass, what's in the middle is a display. That's all dynamic content. But there's a frame around it, which we have on all of our machines. Generally, that's a black frame, just a frame in the artwork. But this one has one that's decorated in the style of the limited edition artwork. There's a customized launch button and a few other things. Collector's edition plaque. So what we've talked about, what we've described here, is the thing on the right of this picture, right, the P3. It's one machine and many games. It's a multi-game system. Princess Bride is the latest game we've created for the system. People with limited space, with limited funds, with with an itch to have a bunch of pinball games, just like you have a video game console, a Nintendo or PlayStation or whatever, where you have that one console and you add game content to it. The P3 is that for physical pinball. You don't need to fill up your bedrooms and bathrooms and basements and garages and whatever else you choose to build to house your ever-growing collection of pinball machines. You don't need that because you can have one machine and all the games you could ever want. Here's the slide I was looking for. Game kits, $37.50. Limited edition version with the topper and side art, $5,000. And then the 3 variations of the game kits installed in a cabinet. The collector's edition, the most expensive one, $13,750, is available only as a new cabinet with the swords and the powder-coated armor, and there are reasons that can't be a game kit. So people interested in the collector's version of a Princess Bride pinball machine who want that as a showpiece in their homes or locations can purchase that as a separate machine. It's still a P3. You can still swap in games. You can still change the artwork if you choose to, or you can leave it decorated as that for its life. Fancier version of what I just said with pretty pictures and colors. Steven made it. Yay, Steven, thank you.
Thank you, Gerry.
Full game kits for the P3, $1,800 to this new one, which is $37.50. So if you have a P3, you can add game content to it for significantly less than traditional machines. And the chart is just showing you, don't pay a lot of money for the red lines, pay a lot of money for the first blue line, and then pay a lot less for each additional game you add to your P3. I'm going to blast through these. This is just a description of all of the other games we have on the system. I want you to be able to talk to the panel and learn about the game, but I wanted to also highlight all the other games that are available for this system. This slide is showing physical game modules that we have. So the other 6 game modules that Multimorphic has created is here. We have add-on games like Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is a whole nother rule set, full, complex, deep rule set for an existing playfield. They're add-on games. You can be somewhere between $0 and $200 to get a full new gaming experience on your existing machine as a software download. There are third parties making games for this thing. It's like Nintendo, right? EA Sports can make games for a Nintendo or a PlayStation or whatever. Other companies can download the P3 development kit and create content, and many people have. There's some people in this room who have, and there are a lot of people outside of the room who are as well. Drained, the one in the top middle, is actually a full playfield module. So there are 8 physical playfield modules for the machine. All the rest of them are software add-ons that you can install and enjoy other experiences. 2-year warranty on the P3. I think that's still the longest, the best warranty in the industry. Machines are expensive. We want you to enjoy your machine forever, but certainly for a very long time. So we're motivated to help you keep your machines running, to keep them working at 100% so that you can enjoy all the game content. And ordering information. We are taking orders now for the Princess Bride. It enters production this summer. There already is a build queue, but we expect to get through it pretty quickly. We've increased our production capacity over the course of the last couple years, and we added new space recently. We've learned a lot along the road, and we expect to get through our current queue in about 4 months. So if you put in an order today, about 4 months after we start production, we should be shipping your game kit. So probably looking about the end of the year for orders placed today. Final Resistance, one of the other game kits, the one we launched last year, is about a 2-month lead time from today, and every other game kit is currently in stock. Machines. If you buy a machine today and want it with Cosmic Kart Racing or Heist or any of the other modules, we can ship that to you next week. We have inventory on machines. We have inventory on most of the playfields. There are rumors floating around the clearly not always correct internet that say it's a year out to get a new P3. It's a year and a half out to get it. Don't buy a P3 because it's going to take years to get it. They're completely false. We have P3s available. We can ship you next week. panel. So we have Stephen, Colin, Josh, and Steve to talk about Princess Bride things, to answer your questions. I hope y'all have questions. We'd love to answer your stuff and not talk about the same stories we tell each other every day over and over and over and over and over again. Does anyone have questions about the game?
Don't be shy.
Someone has a question. Don't make me ask my own questions because that's boring. Please come up to the mic and ask.
Hello, great
Combo
work.
Chuck, welcome to our seminar.
Thank you. Great work. Curious, do you currently or have plans for integration on the speaker lights for this game?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
The question is, are we going to implement speaker light integration?
Absolutely not, no. It was funny when I got my P3 a while back, you know, I'm not necessarily a big speaker light guy. I'm looking down here, and I said, but Gerry, I better have it because people are going to want us to do some integration on that. And we've really barely started on that aspect of it, but by the time the games ship, we'll be doing a lot more integration with the speaker lights. And I think it's now a challenge for the existing games. They're going to probably go back and do a little bit there as well. So in general, the game you're playing there right now, the thing that's probably most lacking are light shows. We've got quite a few in there, but that's an area where I'm not comfortable or happy yet with where we're at on that. So there's a few things with the game, but that's certainly one. We added some speaker light shows this week, last week, 2 weeks ago.
There are light shows specifically for the speakers in the game now,
Yeah.
and yes.
So there's some there with the timers and stuff. And the speaker lights are new, so we're also as a team and talking with the developers on the other games, trying to figure out what's the most effective way to use those that benefits the player in some way. So you'll notice if you play now, we start to cycle them from a green to a yellow to a red when your timer is running down. So you kind of have that extra indication of I'm running out of time. And we'll be looking at other ways like that where it's not just, ooh, that looks really pretty, and I think it's pretty impressive what they can do. I was pretty blown away when I saw them the first time. But again, the key is we want to do it in a way that's helping the player and not just necessarily because it looks really nice.
Yeah, they can certainly, I feel like they can provide ambience, right? Kind of like, I like to play in a low lit room, so just kind of having those, you know, in this, the forest level be green or something, you know, kind of just add that ambience to the machine. And
So we added the speaker lights when we developed Weird Al, and Weird Al has full speaker light immersion. It's fully, every mode has a special function, a special display on those lights, and all future games will get that treatment. When I say that production is this summer, that means we're not shipping machines until this summer, and that also means we have a number of months to keep implementing software and adding new features and taking care of all the details and polish and light shows and things that we eventually want this to happen. So yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Somebody else saw me give you a shirt. Now there are more questions. Crazy. Yes, please come up and ask. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I was just curious who came up with the idea or the passion to go after this particular theme, and how long ago was that? How long have you been working on this project specifically?
Stephen.
You repeat the question so everybody can hear the question.
The question is, how did we come up with this theme? How did we choose to do it? How and why?
I'll just always take credit for it. No, I don't know. We
Steven's always
the
the
problem
answer.
is we are always talking about themes that we want to do. We talk about themes that we think will be, you know, good in the marketplace and themes that would be obtainable and everything. But Gerry and Gerry and me, Michael, we'll have these discussions every day about which themes are good. And so we get asked this a lot, and we talk about it. We were talking about it this week. Who was the first one to do it? We can't remember. Gerry was looking through his emails trying to remember who it was and everything else. And we honestly, none of us can remember who was the first person to bring it up. But all we know is that we were all 100% on board the second that it happened. And I was so ecstatic when we found out that we were able to actually get it. We were in the late stages of production of Weird Al, and I just could not wait to get my hands on this property and start running with it because it's such how great is this movie for pinball, right? Like just everything about this movie. I mean, just what Grandpa said, it's got fencing and fighting and giants and everything about it. Like, there's just so custom built for pinball. And when we got the assets and we realized that we really had access to everything, it just, I couldn't believe what a gift this was to work with. And so that's just a real blessing to work with it.
How long ago was that?
How long ago did we start working on this?
We've been full force for about a year and a half. We've had the license for 2 years, yeah. But we were finishing up Weird Al. We were doing the final polishing of Weird Al before we really dove into it and everything. So we had to get everything with that wrapped up before we could turn our full focus on this. So it's about a year and a half.
Thank you for the question. If more of you have questions, please let me hold off 1 second. I just wanted to say this is our second license. First license was Weird Al's Museum of Natural Hilarity. Both of these licenses were and are dream themes for a majority of our dev team. And that means that the treatment that they got is from super fans, developing a game that they can be proud of, which almost by definition means they're doing the theme as good of justice as possible. Everything that goes into this game is a product of a very long set of discussions about making sure we're doing the theme justice, making sure we're presenting, in this case, the film in a way that makes sense relative to the story, relative to the film, relative to the actors and the people involved in making that film, the musicians, and making sure it's all presented in a way that delivers the experience that we think all Princess Bride fans would love.
Steve, would you like to talk about what the Princess Bride means to you?
So let me introduce Steve. If you go out and Google or search Princess Bride, the Princess Bride Pinball, you're likely to find a site called, what is it, Scheuer.com?
Yep.
Scheuer.com, because years ago, Steve Scheuer started, with no affiliation to us at all, a homebrew pinball development project to do this game.
Yeah, I started on my project in 2009, right about the time that Gerry started selling the P-Rock board. So that's how I became involved with Gerry. And so I've been working on this game, although working is a little strong, thank you, a word for what I've been doing. Think conceptually working on the game for about 14 years. 2 years ago, early April, Gerry contacted me and said that got the Princess Bride license and would I be interested in working on it? And I immediately said yes. And then about 2 days later, I called him back. It's like, was this an April Fool's joke? And he said, no, we really got it. So it's been a lot of fun working with the team, and I've been amazed at how much detail we've been able to bring out and put into the game. So people who love the movie will really, I think, enjoy the game, and you'll find just about everything that you're looking for and excited from the movie in the game.
Every time we have a debate about what we should put in the game or how should we present something, we've developed this thing, we think it'd be cool if we do X, Y, and Z. Like, Steve, will that offend you, or will you be excited to see that? Steve's like our resident The Princess Bride expert. Everything gets filtered through him.
I know it does make Steve crazy when I say Rouse instead of spelling R-O-U-S all the time, and other people picked up on it. I know every time I do it, it's like this, and I think he wanted me to start having to pay $1 every time I said it, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, the Rouse jar is pretty packed, so. Hey, Colin, what's the name of your dog?
We have a dog named Princess Buttercup.
Okay, there we go.
Colin signed on to do rules with us when we were working on Weird Al. You came at the tail end of Weird Al.
Yep.
And Colin didn't know what the next theme was. Actually, we had 2 games we were working on at the time. We're planning to work on. One was Final Resistance, the previous one, and The Princess Bride. And I went up to Colin and just randomly asked, hey, we're working on 2 themes. One of them's The Princess Bride, and the other one is, he's like, stop. I don't care what the other one is. that's the one I want to work on. I didn't know his dog was named Princess Buttercup.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a huge, it's been a favorite of mine since, much younger, and my wife and I enjoy the movie a lot. The whole family does. It's a great family movie. It appeals to literally everybody, from not just the elements of the story elements, but the comedy elements. I love pinball machines that make me laugh as I play them, and also pinball machines that mock me as I miss shots. And that's something that we do in The Princess Bride, because there's awesome quotes from the movie that can mock you. And so you enjoy it when you drain. Hopefully we've turned it up loud enough out in the convention hall for you to hear it. But if you can't hear it, then enjoy it when you get it home or find one on location. And all the great clips that we have just from the soundtrack and the speech of the movie itself, even before we start adding in the custom callouts from Lucas. So really, really great stuff.
We're finally ready for your question. Go
We have
ahead.
over 300 voice calls and video clips in the game from the movie.
Straight from the movie, cut from the movie. All of the favorite quotes that you have. Please come up and ask your question.
So I think when you were talking about speaker light integration, you had mentioned maybe going back and looking at previous games. So if I have a P3 platform and I have a previous module, could it be retrofitted? What would be the mechanism to update them, or is there one? And would there be a charge for that?
Josh, talk about the technicals.
I'm sorry?
What was the question, Jerry? Repeat the question.
Oh, sorry. The question is relative to the speaker light question. If there are additions that if there are things that new games have that old games didn't have, like speaker light integration, or we could talk about front artwork on the cabinet or those kind of things. Let's talk about software specifically, though. How do existing customers of older games be able to take advantage to have games that have that content?
It's certainly a challenge with all of our titles, but there's also the commitment to always continue to support all of our games and bring them along. But more importantly, each game gets to leverage what was done on the previous game. So much of what we were able to accomplish here was because I was able to leverage the work of Michael Ocean and Greg Goldie and BJ Wilson and all of these people. And now there's things we're doing where there's stuff going on existing games, because it's like, ooh, I like this stuff you're doing on here. I want to bring this over to this game. So you will certainly see existing games that sometimes will take advantage of newer things that we have done.
But if let's say I owned a Weird Al platform from last year and you made upgrades to it this year, is there a way to get that into my game?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So the question was, if you already own any game, Weird Al specifically was the question, and there are newer things introduced now, how do you take advantage of those for older games? So things like software-specific things like light shows that are implemented in software. For Weird Al, it doesn't matter because Weird Al has incredible speaker integration and light show integration and those kind of things. But another example is artwork on the front of the machine. This is the first game we've put out that has front artwork. And the original thinking was, we have a platform machine. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to decorate the front of it. How do you do that in a way that looks good with all the games? Our side artwork is magnetic. This is a magnet. It literally peels right off the machine. So if you want to change to another game and change the artwork, it's just a magnet that you can pull off and stick another one on. We put a metal skin on there. Doing that on the front with the coin door and everything else is a little bit of a challenge, so we didn't come out right away and do front artwork. But now that we've done it, guess who gets to go back through our entire game catalog and create artwork for all of the old games? That guy, Steven, is going to go back through our entire catalog and create front artwork pieces for all of the old games. We'll make those available for people. But yes, any platform update will enable features for the previous games that were developed, and our goal is to backfill those features in ways that make sense. It won't always make sense, but if it makes sense to add speaker lights to Heist, then we'll do that. If it's a physical item, you'll be able to go to our store and purchase the upgrade or whatever, add it to your machine. We hope to do everything in a retrofittable way. If it's a software update, You literally just tell your P3 to download the update, and it'll install, and you're good to go. If you have the Princess Bride game, and we come up with a new feature that we put into the game, you tell your P3, you go into an application on the machine, and it will go on the internet to our website and download the update and install it for you. That
And
works
it'll
for all
actually
of
tell
our
you when
games.
there's new code. You know, when you go into your system and you go to the carousel, it'll say, oh, there's updates. And you just download and you're off and running.
There are 21 games. I paged through them very quickly on the slides. There are 21 games available for the system, 8 physical modules, and 13 additional software downloads that you can install. Those software downloads, same thing. You go to our website and purchase an add-on game. It will tell us, we'll go enable in your account access to the game you just purchased, and your P3 will see that and allow you to download and install it. Yes, please come up. By the way, I'm passing out t-shirts to everyone who asks questions. The t-shirts may or may not be the size or the style that you want. We have more in the booth in the showroom, so please come by. We'll gladly swap it out for you for the right size or the right style.
Hi, how's it going?
Hello.
Beautiful game, by the way.
Thank you.
Congratulations, all of you. My question is the artwork on the side of the cabin and the back box and everything. What was the process in deciding who you put on the artwork, and how long did that process take to decide who and what and who you put on the side?
I'll just say that my pushing for more Rugen, I was defeated on that, but we did get him in there. I just felt I wanted more presence for Rugen, but there was quite a bit of debate.
got
But
Rugen in there.
Steven ultimately, I think, was the
So
final.
Steven still is the creative director on the project.
Was.
You've been fired, Steven.
I said is and was. Is and
Sent
was
back to
and is
Greenland.
again.
Yeah, so we're designing multiple packages, right? So we try to theme the package around things. So I wanted a simpler theme for the standard edition kit. Like, we had a mostly Buttercup and Wesley kind of idea for a simpler theme for the standard edition kit. But on the LE kit, we kind of wanted to represent the entire movie on the LE kit. And so we kind of, when we were talking about it, we're like, okay, on the right side of the game, I wanted to represent the battles, and so and we've got the 3 characters on that side, and then the other side is the rescue, where we've got it's the second half of the movie, right, where they're coming through and so there's thematic connection to everything on bringing those together. So that's where we're bringing those characters in, and then you're looking at who are we missing from that we feel people would feel like they want to see in this game, and we bring everybody else in with the back glass and the front art to bring them around to make sure we're hitting all the main features there. But I wanted to have a unifying theme on either side for it. This is also the first game that we had where we had completely separate art on either side for this LE kit, because I really wanted something special for this kit when we put it there.
That's right. Previous games all had an image on the side of the cabinet that was basically mirrored for the other side of the cabinet. So the artist created one piece, and we flipped it over. This is the first time we actually went out and asked them to create custom
It's
content.
pretty common in the industry, but we had, like Weird Al, we had 2 separate art kits. So we had a special, for the limited edition, we had a different special art kit for Weird Al, but it was also mirrored art for either side. So this is the first one where we had individual art on either side. So I wanted to have the battles basically on one side and then the rescue on the other side, to represent that. So
How did we find the artist? Well, Matt Andrews worked on a previous game for us. What we did is Steven he knew what he wanted the game to look like, the style of artwork that would fit well with it. So we had Matt try to create, to show us if he could hit that style, and actually this style is right in his wheelhouse because it's very similar to the style for the Weird Al game, and he was really a perfect fit. It wasn't hard to find an artist for the game.
and Matt's a terrific artist. He's amazing, and he's actually got a lot of range too. You'll see that this looks very different from Weird Al, but he's a natural born painter and does amazing work. So y'all check him out for everything that he does. He's doing all the work for the Houston Arcade Expo as well, so you'll see his stuff all over the place.
He did a great job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'll be sure to tell him.
More questions, more people that want shirts. Yes, please.
So I remember when you first started coming, I didn't know what you were doing. I would see like little mini games. I had no idea what you were planning in the future. So how does this designing for, because you guys do nothing, there's nobody that's doing games like you all. There's the whole front is so open. It's just a screen. How is this design different? Do you have to think differently to design a game now? Do you come from traditional pinball design and moving to this, which is so, I mean, how do you do this compared to an older machine?
The question is, how do you do this? And we do it with 14 people who get in a room and talk about this stuff for months. Traditional machines are mostly populated with mechanics in the back third of the playfield. They have additional things closer sometimes, scoops or a shot near the front. Generally speaking, the difference between the P3 playfield and a traditional playfield is that we replace that painted piece of wood with a rectangular looking LCD, and you see the square edges of that thing, and your mind goes, wait, this is way different. The reality is the ball's still rolling over a surface, over artwork, on its way to physical mechanical features, and in that sense, they're very similar. Josh designed 2 of his own homebrew machines where he decided on his own what the shot layout was, what the physical things were. We've all been pinball collectors forever.
Well, I think anytime you do a game, and I've had the opportunity to work on quite a few at this point, and what's very different here compared to the past is, and I worked on whether it was Hot Wheels or Houdini, the designer says, here's this layout, now figure out how to make it work. And you look at that and you try to figure out how to leverage the shots and the layout and what's there. And what was really enjoyable in this experience was twofold. One was we spent a tremendous amount of time up front in what we wanted to put into the game before anything was started to be sketched for a playfield. So it's not like, oh, one guy's going to go off and create a play field and then everybody else is going to make it work. We had the entire team on a week, a couple times a week, debating, discussing. At one point, we had everybody do a write-up of the ideas and thoughts they had for the game to put in there so we could get all those things and all of those ideas together. And then we took all of those ideas and started to craft what we wanted that layout to be. I actually still have in my house a cardboard setup I did, basically taking everybody's ideas and how they might fit together. And then after that, Gerry took it with our mechanical engineer, and they said, okay, now how do we actually make something like this work? And that really got everybody's buy-in that we're gonna have the cliffs, and here's how we're gonna do this. Then the second thing with any project is, what else does the playfield offer? And the amazing thing with the P3 is there's so many of these features to take advantage of. And I'm not just talking about the grid detection, but the scoops and the walls. And what I think really worked well was how we crafted to incorporate those things. I always say balance is the most important thing in designing a pinball. And the balance is actually right here on the stage. We have Steve, who is not only the hardcore Princess Bride fan, but he is a pinball enthusiast. But he'll be the first to tell you that his pinball skills are not this man's pinball skills. And to really put together a game, you need all of this. We need to make sure that this game's gonna be fun and exciting, and a game I can progress through if I'm Steve, and it's a game that's gonna be exciting and challenging for a serious competitive mutant. And I use that term affectionately for Colin and his ilk, the other mutants, who play the game very, very differently. And I think when you play this game, you will find that, yes, I don't care who you are, you're gonna find enjoyment and you're gonna be able to progress through the game. But if you're a tournament or a competitive player, there are lots of things in there for strategy and scoring. So it takes all of those things that you have to look at in the process, and hopefully if all those pieces come together, you get something like this.
So another element of design and the luxury of being able to design stuff for the P3 module and platform is because the back third is the game kit, and that allows then, as whenever we produce a new game, we can put a lot of stuff in that back third. So you see a lot of very creative and well-designed and costly mechs that are in that back third. I mean, everybody is really enjoying and loves the mechanical genius of TJ, who's out in the booth right now, as far as what's been done on the Cliffs of Insanity. There's no other game out there that we kind of took a cue from Pinball Magic, but Pinball Magic doesn't even use a real ball. It makes it look like your ball is levitating in Pinball Magic, but this is the actual ball levitating and climbing up this cliff as you make other shots. So the other thing that we get to do with the P3 is this open space. It isn't limiting. It actually is somewhat freeing because we get to do so much more than in the back third. And then in addition to that, when you have this very flexible wall of both walls and scoops, where other games where, a quintessential, very popular game of all time, Medieval Madness, it has those two troll pop-ups. Well, the only thing those troll pop-ups can do is pop up, and you can hit them. With the P3, you have the pop-up, and you can either have it strike the wall, and because of the grid detection, we can detect that you've hit the wall, or you can leave it in the scoop form. And so you can then design game elements and features that, of fire spurts that pop up. You utilize the theme integration and utilize that with the P3 platform.
How many people have played Guide My Sword? Anybody? And I think that's an example with the walls and the scoops where, as a team, we looked at that, and I'm not sure where the idea came from for the guiding sword, but it was just such a perfect fit. And that's one of the nice things about the platform. There were different ways to leverage it, to bring these different scenes, to really integrate them and make them feel unique and different. This isn't like, it's 3 shots and they're just in different patterns. We really have so much variety in what we can do. And I did see a couple of people made it to Fire Swamp, which was great to see. And it's actually not that hard to get to once you play the game a few times. And that's just a great mode because we really leverage a whole bunch of those things all at the same time and mix them together to make a really challenging and very intense mode when you get to it. Because every time you think you're about to escape the fire swamp, another hazard shows up and throws its way in your path. And it's a very intense and fun mode that people are going to really enjoy when they get their games.
So to wrap up that answer, you can look at this system and think it's a limiting system. It's hard to design stuff for, but the reality is it's the exact opposite. It's got features that no other pinball machine has. It has this dynamic screen. It has these things that pop up across the playfield. It has an infinity ball trough, places you can kick balls out of the trough anywhere on your playfield surface. You can create mechanical layouts, fun interactive elements in ways you can't do on other machines. So it's actually more fun, in our opinion, to develop games for this system versus what we would say is the limitation of a painted piece of wood. Yes?
I got a 3-pronger, but
A 3-pronger.
they're quick and easy.
You're only getting one t-shirt.
Fair. I guess first of all, I was wondering if you got any of the original actors to optimize their sound bites or anything, come re-record. Also wondering if the Weird Al game is available here to go check out. Yeah.
That's 2 prongs.
And third one, I was wondering if you guys are going to demo the machine.
Yes, yes, and yes. Or no, yes, and yes. No, yes, and yes? First question was, did we have the opportunity to work with the actors to, in your words, optimize the sound bites or whatever? The answer is no, but we had direct access to the full, they call it the voice stem of the film. We have every single quote that they have in the quality that they created a movie with.
Very cool.
So we didn't need to. We have been in contact with a number of the actors to discuss various things related to promotion and inclusion in the game and those kind of things. But yes, the second question was Weird Al.
Is it available to play? Yes.
So in the game room, we have 13 machines. 3 of them are set up as the Princess Bride. And then 10 others are set up with all of our other playfields, including Nick Baldridge's drained playfield. So all 8 playfields are represented. There are 2 Weird Al machines, 2 Final Resistance machines, 2 heist machines, one playing one of the mini games called Dungeon Door Defender, Drained, Cannon Lagoon, Ranger in the Ruins. There's a lot of games out there that you can play, and that's basically the answer to your third question as well. I owe you a t-shirt. Here it is.
And I don't think we're going to be demoing it here in the seminar, but at any time during the festival, you can come demo it yourself, if you want to, you can ask questions as you play. We'd be happy to guide you through as you play.
We have about 5 more minutes left, but if you have more questions, please get in line so we know how many people are still wanting to get a t-shirt. Yes.
Right. My question was, how did you settle on elements of table design in terms of how it feels to play, like flipper length and movement, speed, things like that?
Can you rephrase that, please?
Basically, how did you settle on physical elements of it and other things that affect like how it feels to play it?
So how did we create the final design, making sure it felt good to play?
Right, like how did you make those decisions? And is it by game or like a company standard kind of thing?
So I didn't hear it.
So one thing you mentioned about flipper length, so the flippers are standard full-size flippers. You'll find the exact same dimensions as any other flipper you're going to find out there.
So the P3 is a modular system. It's got swappable flipper assembly, side target assembly, back playfield. We have never swapped out that flipper assembly for a different design. We've standardized on what's called the Italian bottom flipper design. It's got the standard flippers and inlanes and slingshots and those kind of things. But we talk about it on every game. What can we do physically in this game to make it true to the theme? What can we do differently? Where can we put stuff that we haven't done before? But not just for the sake of doing it, to make sure we implement the story properly. And that story drives every decision we make, and every game turns out differently.
But certainly in any design, there's a lot of time spent looking at the layout to make sure it's going to shoot fun and have the shots are going to feel good. A lot of people, their whole thing is there's shots that I can repeat that feel good, and we spend a lot of time in the design phase and then through the whitewood phase to say this shot's working or it's not, and we make changes and tweaks to make sure that when you're shooting the game, the ball goes back to where you want it to go, that there's a flow to the game and the shots work well in the game, and that it also then ties in with all the rules. So again, it gets back to what I said about balance, and spend a lot of time making sure that's right, and when it's not, and then we stop and say, let's change this, let's fix this.
And it's been a year and a half of development, and we're still talking about things that in software might need to change to make the experience better. We learn a lot from shows like these where we see how people interact with the game, and then we make changes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a neat approach to making pinball games. So.
Thank you. 2 more questions.
Mine should be quick. Some people might be wondering, are there any differences in the physical playfield for the different edition kits, or are they the same? Any exclusive mechanics or toys?
Standard edition, limited edition, collector's edition are all decorative changes. The physical playfield is identical. There are no gameplay changes. There are digital artwork changes. So in certain cases, that image that you see on the back glass, standard edition buyers aren't allowed to have that artwork. So we do some things in software to allow limited and collector edition purchasers to switch the artwork between those. But the playing experience is identical across all editions.
Yeah.
Simple question. If I've ordered the limited edition, can I buy the art package from the standard for a wall hanger? Just the magnets.
If you order the collector's or limited edition, which has this artwork package, can you also buy the standard artwork package? And the answer is yes. Just buy it at the same time.
And you should answer the yeses with as you wish.
As you wish.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here, have a t-shirt, please. That is literally the last question and my last t-shirt. If you have a t-shirt again and you want to swap it out for a different size, come over to the booth. We're way on the far end. If you have more questions, please come find us. We have a team of, I think, 8 people, including these gentlemen and a number of other developers who are in the booth. Please come by, play the games. Play all the games, not just the Princess Bride, but definitely enjoy the Princess Bride. Get in line when you can because the line's been long the entire show.
And tell us what you think after you play it. We're here to make a product and experience that makes you happy and enjoy playing pinball. So we love hearing feedback, good, bad, constructive, whatever, because ultimately we want...
good and constructive. He didn't mean that other one.
Colin loves nothing more than to put more things on my list. You know, I in the last 3 days from him watching players, I have a long list I've created from me watching players, but the list he's been sending me is huge. And I was thinking people always ask that question, what percentage are we done with the code? And when we arrived on Friday, it was 92.3% is what I was telling people. And now we're back down to 89.6. So actually, been a tough weekend because I've lost ground, and it's going to be a busy few weeks coming up.
This means we're making the game better for everybody. Thank you again for coming. We'll see you out in the game room.
All right.